Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's session. Before we start session today, let's stay silent for 5 minutes. The mind might be busy, so feel your way back to this moment. Give full attention to the body sensation, breath. Listen around. Break up the continuity of thoughts. This moment, let go of anything. Nothing matters. Most of the time, the mind is not silent. It is always seeking something, always looking for something. And this world is based on this. Endless things to do, endless efforts, striving. The whole life is rather restless. Can the mind be silent? It is very easy to be busy, to be engaged in something. And most of us have been used to that, to escape, to avoid. To be silent. The mind must be fully aware. Being able to put aside everything humans have invented. Unloading the burden of the mind. And for most of us, it is not easy because the mind has been so trapped in various ways of thinking, ideas, theories. The mind gets trapped in the web made by the words, images, symbols. And our life becomes rather verbal. The compulsion to express, to fulfill, to be successful, to become something. Keeps the mind occupied. Is it possible for one to put aside all of those and inquire to find out whether it is possible to be silent inwardly? When the mind is really silent, there are no issues at all. Of course, now it's merely a statement made by the speaker, but one must find out for oneself what it means to be silent. When the mind depends on words in every way, the mind must be full of attachment. When the mind is full of attachment, it is impossible to be silent. Though sometimes people feel that the mind can be quiet for a while when the mind is engaged in something. But that dullness is not silence. Silence is not dullness. A silent mind is full of energy. It is sensitive, alive. To be silent, the mind must be free of any attachment. To be free of any attachment, one must understand the nature of attachment, not verbally, not theoretically, but actually. To perceive, to feel the essence of attachment. Therefore, the mind acts to be free of any attachment. To most people on this planet, attachment is something way too common. One can be attached to a faith, a theory, an idea. One can also be attached to a piece of furniture, money, prestige, power, and so on. When one is attached to something, that thing becomes tremendously important. One begins to unconsciously defend it, regarding it as if its own. It's my own thing. Power is part of me. Money is part of me. I must defend it. And inevitably, the mind gets into trouble. What happens during this process, which is called attachment? For example, when one is attached to money, what does that mean? What happens to the mind? How the money is internalized as part of me. Is it a thought process? The money can bring about this so-called economical economic freedom. One can buy anything one wants using money. So there's a pleasure from it. There's a power about this money, right? You can buy anything with money, essentially, in this world. Except a silent mind. So the pleasure and the power and the so-called freedom around that thing called money give the mind fulfillment, gratification, satisfaction, and also a sense of security. So the mind begins to depend on money or the thought about money. So the attachment is a process of thought. When one uses money, there's a sensation. The pleasure, the security, this kind of freedom to buy anything one wants. Then thoughts come along and says, I must have more money. Is this process repeated in every corner of our life? So one can be attached to different things, and each one is attached to different things. When the money, for example, is affected, the mind becomes turbulent because of that attachment. When the thing the mind is attached to is changed or affected, the mind becomes turbulent immediately. And unfortunately, anything the mind is attached to is always changeable. Therefore, this turbulence is inevitable. And the mind is very lazy. It doesn't want to solve the issue of attachment. It wants to find something permanent, so the mind can be attached to that safely. So the mind is seeking permanency. Is this also repeated in one's living? We must observe it, see it, see how this illusion is operating on the mind. We don't want to deal with the core issue, the attachment. We only want to find something permanent so we can be attached to that securely, safely. That idea also gives one pleasure, satisfaction. but it is an illusion. Illusion means that it can't be possibly realized. Without seeing the illusion, the mind is seeing it, want to pursue it, realize it. There's tremendous efforts striving behind it. Not only in the materialistic world, but also in this so-called spiritual world. To find enlightenment, to find something that is permanent, that is eternal. But why does not the mind deal with the actual issue, the attachment? Can the mind end the attachment? Not through detachment. The very detachment is the continuation of the attachment in different forms. To be free of an attachment is not through detachment, which is a trap, but to be able to understand the whole process of attachment completely. Not through the idea of detachment. The very idea of detachment prevents one from dealing with the actual issue, attachment. There's only attachment, not the opposite. Dealing with the actual issue is not to run to the opposite. The opposite is still an illusion, a trap. To understand attachment is to observe the total movement of thoughts that is operating on the mind. Can the mind observe that when the sensation comes, the pleasure, the sense of freedom, for example, or the money, arrives and stops here? No further thoughts comes saying, I want to have more money. Can one stay with sensation without letting the thoughts interfere? When the mind is attached, can one observe that the whole attachment is thought processes, and see that one is the attachment, and the attachment is the one? Therefore, do nothing about it. Just observe and stay with that attachment. Not running away to the opposite. Just observe and doing nothing. That's to give full attention to this moment. Observing the total movement of thoughts. And only then, the intelligence of the whole neuron system is operating fully to dissolve any attachment. That's why it is very important, absolutely important, to stay silent. So the intelligence of the neuron system can operate fully. But most of us are so busy. The mind is always chattering, always doing something about it. Therefore, the intelligence of the neuron system is always suppressed. So can the mind be silent first? It is the most counterintuitive thing ever. Because the mind is so easily in an illusion that it can do something about it, about various issues. And then the very doing perpetuates the busy state of mind. Suppressing the intelligence of the neuron system. Therefore, creating more mischiefs. Can one or can the mind be silent first? That's why it is a marvelous thing to discover the intelligence of the neuron system, which is not a thought process beyond any thoughts words. But most of us get caught up in thoughts in verse. And as a reaction to thoughts verse, we have various actions that only suppress the intelligence and perpetuates the issues. And this problem is affecting the whole world. The society is based on the wrong perception. Everything around us is based on the wrong perception. It's always based on the doing. Therefore, the world becomes more and more confusing, chaotic. Everything is messed up. And in reverse, it has become more and more challenging to be silent. There are so many noises, opinions, expressions everywhere. Various influences, politically, economically, commercially, even religiously. Can one empty over those and let the mind come back to silence? Otherwise, the mind is filled with various things, and it keeps chattering, being restless, making tremendous efforts to be, to become, to achieve, to escape the issues. And in that escape, more and more issues, hurts, trauma are accumulated. And in that twisted perception, being silent becomes even more difficult. But seeing all this, can one be silent now? That's to say, can one be alone mentally, psychologically? A silent mind is alone. Aloneness means be free of any influences. And in that aloneness, the mind is free. Freedom is the first step. Of course, also the last step. Seeing all this, can one put all energy, gather all energy to find out, to observe to have a silent mind. That go beyond any verbal things. Can see the whole world as it is, without any distortion. So, a silent mind demands diligence, care, observation, and also sheer action that breaks up the continuity of thoughts in terms of its patterns. To stay silent first, to keep the mind free first. That is also means stay unknown. The mind that is trapped in the known cannot be silent. Words, symbols, images bring about the known, and the mind put away them, put aside over them. This moment is unknown. When the mind is trapped in the known, it always misses this moment. And only a silent mind stays with this moment. All right, we have still some time left, and we can answer some questions if there are some questions. We can look, observe together to find out the answers to the questions. Actually, the answer is inside the question. When we look at the question directly to find out what is the actual issue or the actual question behind the question, the very seeing light answers the question. If you have any question, you can just leave a message, and then the question will be pasted on the screen. We can see the question together. Why does the mind pursue the result rather than enjoying the process, this moment? Why? Why does the purpose become so important? Why do we always have a purpose? What does the purpose mean? Is that because the purpose brings about a sense of satisfaction? A sense of meaning? And to pursue that purpose the mind wants to find fulfillment, get fulfillment. So that whole process is very dominant, isn't it? And the purpose is the motivation for most of us to do various things. And inevitably, result becomes tremendously important. The result tells you whether you have achieved your purpose or not. It is a measurement. And the purpose is the known. Pursuing the purpose perpetuates the known. The result is also the known. But this moment, as we said in the session today, is always unknown. When the mind is trapped in the known, it misses the unknown. That's why when the mind is pursuing, is seeking, is achieving, it no longer has any relation to this moment. To really be this moment, one must observe completely. Why do we have so many purposes? Are they really necessary? Or are they merely our habits, thinking habits? Because of purposes, thoughts become tremendously important, right? Purposes means, as we said before, meaning, satisfaction, value, achievement, fulfillment. All of those enhance the importance of thoughts. But this moment is never a product of thoughts. Thoughts means the known. So can one observe this whole process completely and put aside thoughts? When the mind realizes the limitation, the mischief, and illusions made by the thoughts, can one simply put aside thoughts? Can the mind stay silent? And only a silent mind can place thoughts in the right place. Otherwise, the mind is totally engulfed and trapped by thoughts, where there's only pursuing, seeking, becoming. And when we look at this world as it is, everyone is trapped in its own purposes. So we no longer meet each other. We have our own pursuit. Therefore, we are divided. and we are in contradiction, in conflict with each other. And they are competitions. And we go through agony, frustration. Isn't it because we are all trapped in thoughts, the known? So can one observe, inquire, and find out? Can one live a life without any purposes? Psychologically. And also, come back to the question we have asked at the beginning of the session. Can the mind be silent? All right. Is there any other question? Great. I think that's enough for today's session. We have inquired silence, attachment, purposes. Can one observe all of those, understand all of those, and apply them to one's living? Here, we are not talking about any theories. We are talking about facts, the psychological facts about our living and existence. Can one compound those facts and apply them to one's living? To bring this genuine change or transformation to one's living. When the mind is free of any attachment, the mind is really free. There's no burden at all. But all of those demands care, sensitivity, diligence. And it's up to one to really act in one's living, to embody the truth, the psychological facts, and see what will happen. Great. And that's the end of today's session. And take care. Hopefully, we can meet again in the future sessions. Have a good day, good evening, or good night.